Hey there and welcome to the Solid Signal podcast for the week of September 30th, 2019. I will be your host, as always, Stuart, and I am ready to talk. This week I wanted to tell you about a show that I've been watching on HBO, and it's a bit surprising to me how much I like it and how good it's been. You might have heard about it, and no, I'm not talking about Succession. If I can talk about Succession for a moment, I know a lot of people like this show, and a lot of people go for it, and they're calling it the, must-watch, whatever, show of the summer or fall or whatever. Not for me, folks. I think that if you like that sort of show, it's probably very well made. I do not, but that's why there's so much other great content on AT&T and DirecTV and all the Warner properties. No, I'm talking about a show called The Righteous Gemstones, and here's a show I really didn't think I was going to like. Why? Well, first of all, it's created by and stars, Danny McBride, who is another one of those kind of characters who sort of orbited around the Seth Rogen, James Franco universe for a while. You may remember him from Eastbound and Down. You might remember him from Vice Principals. But he kind of always plays this kind of, ignorant, blustery character. And if you think that's funny, then you think he's funny. And if you don't, then, you don't. But I was surprised to find how much I like this particular show. The Righteous Gemstones does star Danny McBride, but it's really much more of an ensemble piece. And the truth is that I think that Danny McBride was just really kind of your entree into it. He was the face that maybe you'd want to recognize and see so that you knew what was going on. But while he writes a lot of the episodes along with some of the other stars of the show, he's not in it as much as you would think, which is good for somebody like me who doesn't necessarily go for that character. But, if you do, then you might be a little disappointed. But there's a great ensemble cast. I should tell you, John Goodman is really good in it. Walton Goggins is really good in it. The character who plays, or the actress who plays the sister is really good, and I really should look up her name because I think she's also doing some of the writing. This show is just a blast. It's an unlikely family comedy about sort of this televangelist, multi-generational family, and how, the parents worked really hard to make it happen, and the kids are a little bit spoiled, and the grandkids are even more spoiled, and that's, if it sounds a little bit like Succession in that sense, well, maybe it is, except the difference is that this is funny and Succession is not. It's funny and it's touching, and you can see a lot of the real quality performances from some of the folks that you just wouldn't associate with that kind of quality. Danny McBride himself does excellent work, and I think in doing a lot of the writing, he does excellent work. Walton Goggins, I got to say, I was not a fan at all before I saw him on this show, and I really wouldn't have even watched the show if I'd known he was on it, to be real straight with you. But he plays most of the episodes dressed up as an elderly man, sort of a little bit of a Jimmy Swaggart, Jim Baker type, a little bit past his prime, still trying the same kind of shtick that he had when he was young, kind of thing. But he does it so darn well. I just got to say, the whole thing, it's just so darn good. And you wouldn't think so because it's not the sort of show that I personally would go for normally. It's not the sort of show that I think would even be a hit normally, because how are you really going to get into the a feeling about the trials and tribulations of a televangelist, especially one where all these bad things are happening to him that he absolutely totally deserves, and yet it's really, really good. It is on HBO on Sundays, and you should try it out. If you don't have HBO, you can get it by subscribing to DirecTV and adding it at directtv.com. If you're not a satellite TV subscriber, you can go to hbonow.com and you can subscribe sort of as a standalone. It's one of your more expensive streaming services, But I'll tell you, a lot of great content on there. Even though Game of Thrones is gone and his Dark Materials, which they're saying is going to be the next Game of Thrones, hasn't started, there's still a lot of great stuff there. And I'm willing to bet that most folks probably like Succession, even though personally I don't. This show does take, maybe an episode or two before you'll 100% commit to it. And I'll warn you that at least at this point, it looks like there are a lot of loose threads that never get tied up. Maybe they'll come in and tie them up at the end of the season, but I don't know yet because we're still in the middle of season 1. I hope this show runs for a good long time because it's evolving and changing and getting smarter, and it is hilarious to watch. It's just the kind of escapist entertainment, the smart stuff that we really need today. It does make a bunch of really salient points about privilege and capitalism and all that stuff that it's popular to talk about today, but it doesn't hit you over the head with it the way that some other shows do. It's just, for the most part, a lot of fun to laugh at, and I hope you check it out. Anyway, that's it for this week's Solid Signal podcast. Not exactly the heaviest content in our podcast, but perhaps something that you've enjoyed, and I hope you come back, and I'll see you again next week.